Okay, we're back here for today's edition of the Tiger Football Camp Report with Coach Mark Sartain. Coach, going to start a little bit of some position by position breakdowns today as practice rolls on here through the middle part, or actually the last day of the first full week of practice. But let's talk about the position that you specifically coach out on the field, and that is the defensive line. Lost two starters from last year at the defensive tackle spots, and Chris Kramer, and then an All-American type player in Evan Beaton. And of course, you got a returner at defensive end who's a preseason All-American, Matt Tarver. But first of all, just talk a little bit about have the process for replacing those two senior defensive tackles from last year.
Well, the process is just, hopefully those young men that got to watch them work and watch them play have learned from them, because that was, Evan particularly, probably the best technically I've ever coached. And, I've coached a couple that have actually played in the NFL. Evan, of course, was not that caliber of athlete, size or speed, but as far as doing what he did well, it's just incredible how flawlessly he executed technique and how tough and tenacious he was, and just a tremendous young man all the way around. And in my opinion, he was the best defensive lineman in the conference last year. Most effective, most consistent, and most valuable. So, that's going to be hard to replace him. Kramer was a kind of a wrecking ball for us. Chris was a 4-year player for us, 2-year starter, and he gave us a little bit of size in there, not real significant size. And then, of course, we also lost Brad Wallace starting at defensive end as well. All three of those guys were somewhat undersized for their position. We were very small up front last year, but very effective. And we're going to be quite a bit larger up front this year. A little bit more physical tools than we've had in the past, and it's just going to be a matter of, are these guys going to play with the kind of passion and execute our calls, etc., with the kind of tenacity that Evan and Brad and Chris did last year. And, of course, Matt returning as the leading sacker in the conference from last year. Matt is a converted safety, 6'1", 225-pound, 4'6", 40 guy that, he got disrespected last year in the all-conference voting. He got disrespected this year in the preseason voting. I don't believe coaches respect him very much, and of course that's going to give him plenty of fuel for his fire. Matt's an incredible young man, very selfless, but when you put up the kind of numbers that he put up last year, somebody should notice, and I really hope he has a great opportunity to show some folks that they have overlooked him. Coming inside, we're quite a bit larger than we were last year. Evan was about 5'10", 250. Chris was about 6 foot, 6'1", 265. We're coming in right now with Aaron Reynolds about 6'1", 275. DeJuan Davis about 6 foot, 290. Billy Ayers 6'5", 305-ish. Then we drop off to another Evan Beaton type, and Quentin Thomas, a little power ball kind of guy at 5'8", 5'9", and 250 pounds, but a state champion, national champion type power lifter. So we feel like we're more physically capable inside. It's just a matter, like I said, if those guys learn from those older ones, which I think they do, and we could be very explosive in there this year. At the ends, we've lost a couple of guys to not returning for financial reasons and what have you, but Stephen Wright, local young man from Jefferson, will be a senior for us this year. Moved him down from linebacker in the spring, and he's doing a tremendous job at the other end, opposite of Tarver right now. Transfer Jay Perez has come in and moved him from an outside linebacker type position to a defensive end, and then beyond that, we're looking for some freshman help right now. Some of these young guys that have come in to maybe punch their plane ticket to Dover, Delaware, and make their way into some Saturday playing time.
A little football 101 here, but a lot of people look at let's just say an inside tech type defensive tackle and just think you just need a kid in there. He'll just kind of root his way around and hold up the line. But there is, especially in the kind of defense you guys play, those guys have responsibilities and areas that they are responsible for as far as getting to them, like you said, according to the calls and things similar to everyone else on the defense. What is the most difficult part, you think, of being a defensive tackle at this level in this defense, you think?
Well, I mean, it's a reckless scheme in that we're an attack-oriented defense, but we still have, legitimate gap counseling responsibilities, and in order to accomplish those, there's got to be a measure of self-discipline. You can't just have a flailer, a guy that's just going to line up and run off the ball and create space for the offense and double responsibility with someone else already in a particular gap. And so the most difficult thing is, as it is really with any type of coaching of technique, is getting those young kids to trust their training, is what we call it. Trust what we're teaching them to do as far as steps and blow delivery and angles of approach and all that kind of stuff, and what they're reading and keying to make their decisions based off of. That's the toughest part, is just to convince them to trust that. And we're a little unconventional, I guess is the proper word, in some of our techniques up front. I've not known very many other systems to teach D-line the way we teach it. But over the years, it's been extremely effective. We've typically been successful with undersized players. We're a movement-oriented defensive front. We're very seldom going to just stand still toe-to-toe with you and just try to, outman you. We're going to be a movement-oriented defense that seeks to get us in half-man matchups and on the move to the football. So, but the toughest part is getting guys to trust their training in those respects.
All right, Coach. Well, I got another practice this evening on the docket as camp rolls on here, and then we'll come back tomorrow, talk a little bit about that, and we'll flip it over and we'll talk about the other side of the line for the Tigers this year. We'll talk about the offensive line on tomorrow's report.
All right.
Coach, we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks a lot.